Ms. Wright,
Yes.
you're up.
Yes. Okay. One of the things that's become very apparent and that I'm seeing is that we have a lot of issues in our district. Do we not? I mean, we're having them with leaders, we're having them with our schools, we're having them with our teachers, with our students. Um, we we have lost our way to some degree. We have lost our focus on what we are supposed to be doing, and I believe that we are only as strong as our leaders are. I believe our community has expressed multiple different ways and different times that they are calling for a change in leadership. And that is not a comfortable thing, that is not a fun thing, but it is a necessary thing in order to move our district into where we need to be going. So with that being said, I take no joy in even bringing this up because I will tell you I have respect for our superintendent. But the public's perception is that you are the leader, and what they are calling for is a strong leader. And so what I'm asking is that would this board, what are their, how do they feel about looking at reviewing the superintendent's contract? Or are we comfortable staying the direction that we are with the leadership we have in place? And I will leave it there and open it to discussion from there.
Thank you. Opening that up for discussion. Does anybody other board members wish to comment on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Wright, I hear you, and leadership is important. What I would suggest is the real problem that the community has most been upset with is who is directing the superintendent. And we have new direction with a new board. And the superintendent, any appointed superintendent, serves at the will of the board. And I would suggest that over the last couple of years, Dr. Mullins has served at the will of the board. I will give you an example. One of the things that most upset our community would have been the mandate of the last couple of just to be crystal clear, the only recommendation that was ever brought by Dr. Mullins or any of his staff was strongly recommend. It was who changed it to expected. It was the board who changed it to a mandate. It was the board who created the policy to do it. It was the board, the majority of the board at the time. When I say the board, it was our, who we had in place. It was the board who decided to do a mask mandate in 2021 in spite of what the governor and the Department of Health had issued. The board did that every single time, and the superintendent followed the direction of the board. We have a new board, and I believe with all my heart, after working with Dr. Mullins for the last 4 years, that he will follow the direction of the board unless we lead him to do something illegal, unethical, or immoral. And so my suggestion would be that we do have an evaluation process that happens every year. It starts in May, goes through June, July. Usually around July time, the board gathers together for our annual evaluation of the superintendent. I would suggest that as we have our 2 new board members and as we have this new leadership that we have in place here, that is a more appropriate time for us to do the evaluation. When you guys have the time to see, you get a big fat binder about that thick, so you can really delve into every department, every area, every school, every initiative, and that the better time to look at the body of work and see, what with the new leadership is the superintendent following the leadership of this new board. I think that would especially allow us to maintain some stability in our organization. When there is change, there's the risk of instability. I think the stability is very important, and so I feel very strongly about this. That now is not the time, but that we do have our regular time. We look at Dr. Mullins' contract every summer as we do the evaluation, and have the opportunity to. The board sets really his agenda for the year. We set, here are your goals we want you to meet, here are the things we want you to work on, here are the weaknesses, here are the strengths. That's our job, and we do that. We prepare for that all through the year, and then we have the formal evaluation process in the summer. So that would be my recommendation, is that we continue through, we make clear direction as a board. We are making lots of changes. We've already made lots of changes tonight. I haven't heard any resistance to those changes so far. I've heard, yes, we can make it happen. Here's how we can make it happen. So I believe we're already moving in the right direction, and I hope that the rest of the board would agree with that part of it with me.
Thank you. Ms. James? Coming to you next, Jean.
This district makes decisions based on data. Here's some. There's a positive perception of Brevard Public Schools in our community as identified in the Alliance for Public Schools Community Conversation data. Approximately 70% of respondents had a positive or somewhat positive opinion of Brevard Public Schools. One of the quotes, Dr. Mullins is worthy of a community's respect. He's had a steady hand during this crisis and with all that has been stirred up politically around education. He is focused on students, and that is what is most important. There's been an increased parental satisfaction. 75% of parents indicated they're either satisfied or very satisfied with Brevard Public Schools in a parent survey with over 25,000 respondents. 77% of people indicated they would recommend BPS as a good place to work in an exit survey feedback. That was up from 33% in 2018. Utilization of federal stimulus fund maximum positive student impact received perfect audit. Dr. Mullins is recognized throughout the state as an exemplary leader, as evidenced by appointment to the Board of Directors of Florida Association of District School Superintendents. He's supported by our community, as evidenced by the favorable passage of our sales tax and our millage. And let me be clear about our millage. From the day I was elected to this school board, I made it very clear to Dr. Mullins that that was one of the reasons I ran in the first place. And the first thing out of Dr. Mullins' mouth was, I hear you, I agree with you. I never had full board consensus or support. He's supported by the majority of Brevard's legislatures, as evidenced by allocations for our CTE programs throughout our district. He has widespread community support through his ambassadors group, who many of them are sitting here in the audience today. Not only is there a positive perception of the work Dr. Mullins has done, but he happens to have a positive impact on our students directly through his leadership. Our graduation rate increased from 2016 at 87.5 to 2021's 90.6. There's been an increase in student achievement for all student subgroups in the 21-22 school year. He increased student participation and achievement in our advanced courses, including AP, IB, dual enrollment, and our CTE programs. Our progress monitoring data shows our students are rebounding at a great with organization. Working with the support of our community, our facilities, organizations through the community to support our babies before they enter public schools. He launched a mentoring framework to support our students in crisis and after this pandemic. He created a referral resources list to support our families who are going through mental health crises. $58 million from the budget, with the most minimal impact to our students and our class humanly possible. maybe before students in crisis and academic. He created a referral resources list to support our families who are going through mental health